What's up, guys? I've got a Pokemon Showdown replay for you today because I didn't have time to record an entire part for the session, so I hope you'll bear with me in that regard. But I think you'll enjoy this battle. I had it just while I was goofing off. I had a little bit of free time, and I figured I might as well show it to you because it was pretty good. It had both of us making some plays, me and my opponent, and it came down kind of to the wire, and I know that that's pretty enjoyable sometimes. So I'm going to lead off with my Rotom, and he's going to lead off with his Mismagius. Now, I think that the Shadow Ball is a bit too obvious for me, just because he's got an Audino that can take the hit, and I'm probably Scarfed. I'm sure he knows that. Most Rotoms are. I am Scarfed, but he probably knows that. So I'm just going to go for the Volt Switch, but he's actually going to stay in because Mismagius has really respectable special defense, and he just goes for the Substitute. Now, I know that no matter what he wants to do, Audino can take him on, so I'm just going to go for the knockoff. It would have sucked if he had maybe Will-O-Wisp here, but he didn't. He just has Nasty Plot, which means he's only going to have some sort of coverage move, and it's Thunderbolt to hit me with. So I'm just going to kill him with the next knockoff, which is great. Now, this is also kind of bad for me because my Audino is a bit weakened, and he brings in Malamar. And I thought about this play for a while, because I think that the superpower is a bit too obvious, right? So I shouldn't switch out to one of my ghost types, but at the same time, I don't want to give him an opportunity to do something crazy like set up a sub. I'm not sure what kind of Malamar set this is. There are several that you can run, and even now that the game is over, I'm still not exactly sure what kind of Malamar set this is. But I'm just going to go into my Dusknoir. Now I keep forgetting that Malamar gets knocked off. I was just expecting Night Slash, which stinks, but I don't really need Dusknoir at this point because Mismagius is gone. It really doesn't take on anything else on his team. It pretty much loses to everything else. So I'm just going to get off some damage. I should have gone for a second Sucker Punch right there, but I wanted to see how much Shadow Sneak did. I always forget that Sucker Punch is pretty much always going to be stronger on neutral targets, but whatever. I get a free switch into my Liepard, and I'm going to go for the knockoff. I was sure it was going to kill from where it was before, and it does some decent damage to Weezing, about a third of its health. And I switched into my Claydol because it's pretty much a counter to Weezing. There's not a lot Weezing can do to it. I mean, yeah, it can Will-O-Wisp, it can Pain Split, but that's not going to get it far. So he misses the Will-O-Wisp. I set up my rocks, and then I go for a Psychic, which does a ton of damage, and he goes for Will-O-Wisp here. Now, I thought about this play for a while too, and I make the wrong play. I do. And the right play right here was to go for Earth Power. That was my first instinct. I thought, will he want to save this? Probably. Will he go into something that I can hurt with Earth Power? Most likely. His best bet is to go into Malamar because he can get the initiative by being immune to my attack and then scaring me out with knockoff. Now, even though I saw that move coming, I really didn't want to go for the Earth Power just in case he wanted to Pain Split. However, he was not in a position to, I guess, make that prediction because he was going to die to a Psychic before he could get off the Pain Split if I went for it. So there was no reason for him to stay in there. And I'm just going to go for the Psychic on this following turn, and it's going to give him a free switch into his Malamar, which is really bad. This thing caused me a lot of problems because if you look at my team, it doesn't deal well with fighting type moves and dark type moves, which this thing has in abundance because Superpower is so good on it, and Knockoff is Stab, and it's obviously the best move in the game. So I do expect him to go for the Knockoff here, but he actually goes for the rest as I go into my Brizion, which is fine. I know that he's a Sleep Talk set now with Superpower, Knockoff, and rest Sleep Talk. So I set up a sub, and he gets knockoff, which is great because that allows me to get up a free Swords Dance. Now I'm hoping that he pulls a rest or a knockoff on the next Sleep Talk, but that actually doesn't work out for me as he gets the superpower, which is bad, very bad, because now I'm only at +1 attack on him compared to his defense, and I just have to attack because he's going to wake up and go for the superpower if I don't. Which he does. He goes for the superpower here, and it doesn't kill me. I didn't expect it to. I'm sure that he's more of a bulky set, not invested in attack, not fully invested anyway. But I have to go for another Leaf Blade here, and I'll explain why. The thing is, I didn't want him to get off another rest, and if you look at his HP, I did 49% with my first Leaf Blade. and after he got a second defense boost off that superpower, he was definitely going to live another one barring a crit. So I either had to go for the crit there or switch into my Rotom, predicting another superpower, which was his best play, hands down, was to go for superpower. Well, not hands down. I think rest would have been a better play, and that's what I was expecting. But he actually does just go for a superpower here, which means I lose my Virizion, which kind of stings, but it's not the end of the world. It was only super useful for the Feraligatr anyway, because I did switch it up and took off Secret Sword or Sacred Sword and changed it to Stone Edge. But I just kill it off. I kill off the Malamar with my Rotom, go into my Liepard. Now here, I'm worried that he's going to go for Aqua Jet or something like that, and I really don't want to deal with that. Or he could go for Waterfall because I know I can't kill him in one hit. And he actually decides to set up a Dragon Dance, which stinks because now I'm a little bit behind. I didn't expect him to want to set up on me, but maybe he thought the fact that he could take a hit would be good for him. However, I do have Encore, so he was definitely not in a good position to set up if he had known that. He just didn't know that. So I actually, like I said, put myself behind by going into my Audino here, and I just go for the knockoff. Now this is a good play on my part because I've baited him into setting up. Now he knows that I won't be able to do any damage to him with knockoff after I knocked off his Lumberry already. It did 15%, roughly. The next one's gonna do maybe 10 or something like that, less than that. So he's in a great position to set up right now. And I'm gonna make the really bold switch out into my Liepard, knowing that he's either gonna predict me to go for another knockoff or a wish. Now I've got him in my sights, go for the Encore. I was worried at this point that he might go for Aqua Jet. Now I know that a lot of D-Dance Feraligatrs don't generally run it because they have enough speed, they don't have to worry about priority. But I think it's still a good idea to carry in situations like this where you face priority, because then you're just like any other setup sweeper. You need that priority to take down opposing priority. But he doesn't seem to go for the Aqua Jet if he has it, and I just lock him into that and go for repeated knockoffs, even though I already knocked off his item, which stinks for me, I guess. If I hadn't knocked it off in the first place, then that first knockoff would have done enough damage to where I could 2-hit KO him. But unfortunately, he gets up to +5/+5, and his Encore ends, and I'm worried again that he might go for Aqua Jet, but he doesn't, and I just kill him with a Sucker Punch. So that's really good for me. He goes into Audino here. I know I can't really knock him out, and I want to save my Liepard for the Scyther, because if it's a setup sweeper, then let me pause this and explain. If his Scyther is a setup sweeper, I can copycat, or not copycat, Encore. If he's just a bandit set, then I can probably knock him out with either knockoff or Sucker Punch because I do outspeed. And he'll be at 51% when he switches in on the rocks because he can't get rid of them. But that means I have to go into my Audino here just to face off with his own, and it's not really going to go anywhere for either of us. I'm just going to go for knockoff here, because as he sets up the wish, I don't want him to go into his Weezing. And he's going to go for another wish here as I go for the heal bell, and now I know that he has no business staying in right now. I could just wish and this could be the stalliest battle in the world. He might as well try and pass that wish off to his Weezing or his Scyther. Scyther probably would have been the better play to get it in it full and set up on me if he is set up. But also Weezing is very tempting. So I'm going to go for the knockoff. I'm not going for wish, I'm going for the knockoff just to get off damage and kill this Weezing if I can, which I do, surprisingly, because his item was already knocked off and Weezing is completely like physically defensive, so bulky. But I'm going to stay in here against his Scyther, kind of hoping that he'll kill me off. I don't really want to switch into anything else because they'll all pretty much die to the Scyther. But he does end up setting up, and he has Roost, which stinks. If he didn't have Roost, this would have been less scary, but he did have SD Roost and Bug Bite. So he's going to get up to pretty much full here and then kill me off, thankfully. Now that he has killed off my Audino, I can go into my Rotom and resist both of his stabs and hopefully kill him with the Thunderbolt, but as you can see here, I actually don't kill him, which is surprising because He must be like a bulky variant. I mean, I know that Scyther has really good bulk naturally, but that must be a bulky variant, along with the EV light to guarantee setups. So he's definitely not max speed. Is my thought process here. But since I do resist both of his stabs, I am able to knock him out with the second Thunderbolt. Now this is where the part where the plays get interesting, because even though Audino is his last, it can pretty much stall me out and go for knockoff after knockoff, and that's not good for me. Because if he's got Toxic, if he's got any sort of status move, then he's going to be able to beat the rest of my team, depending on what it is. I don't know if this thing gets Thunder Wave, but if it gets Thunder Wave, it won't be able to beat, well, it'll be able to beat Rotom thanks to knockoff, but it won't be able to beat my Claydol. If it has Toxic, though, it's going to beat my whole team. So I got to be careful. I'm going to go into my Claydol here, and he's actually going to go for the knockoff, which is to be expected. He wanted to kill off my Rotom, but he's going to go for a Protect on the next turn just to scout out what I'm going to do, and that's fine with me. I want him to kill this thing off, really. So I'm just going to go for the Earth Power as he goes for a Toxic. Now here I'm going to expect him to either go for a Protect or go for a Wish, and I'm going to switch into my Liepard. And I don't know why I paused it. I really didn't have to. He goes for the knockoff, and that kind of stinks, but it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter at all, because I'm just going to go for a knockoff on the next turn, and he's going to Wish. I'm going to Encore him into that Wish, and now that he is stuck wishing, there's no reason for me to stay in and try and damage him, because there's no way I can take him out from 50% with anything that I have, and it'll just be a losing battle for me. Now I could continuously Encore him, but what I'd actually like to do instead is just go for the style points. So he gets off the Wish, and I'm going to switch out into my Rotom. Since he's Encored and he can't switch up his moves, he's going to be Encored for another turn. I'm going to trick him, and that means that he's going to continuously be stuck in Wish until he struggles and dies, and I know that he won't be able to beat my Claydol in that situation, because Claydol is physically defensive, and these things both would take hits. Rotom and Liepard would take hits, and he would lose a lot of his health in the process. So he's actually going to forfeit right there, because he knows that he can't do anything clearly, and I'm going to get the victory, which I really enjoy. I can't remember, I feel like I did something very similar in the first episode of the session, but being able to pull it off a second time is always so cool, and I hope you guys really enjoyed that. This is getting a little long now though, so I'm going to cut it here. I'll be back very soon with another part of the session. Hopefully this will satiate you guys until then, so I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace!